And he's a good guy? Were these two talking about me? Emily, my pregnant and outgoing assistant, walked Brandy, her replacement, around the office introducing her. Heading an all-female accounting department, I jokingly called myself a typical man. Mindful of the Me Too movement and sexual harassment in general, I have always kept my distance from the 15 women who make up the department. So, unless Emily was talking about another man, she must have been talking about me, Ed Black, 34, sandy-haired and skinny. There's a bit of a double-edged sword to the word nice guy, isn't there? On the one hand, it means someone who is pleasant to be around, who does the right thing and minds his manners. However, especially when this term is used by women, it often carries with it a connotation of weakness, a bit of weak will. I wondered feverishly whether my wife agreed with this. Every time in our 12 years of marriage, when we had to decide, for example, where to eat, I let her choose. It's the same with where to go on vacation. Those things mattered far less to me than being with her and our two girls, ages 8 and 10. It's the same with work. Don't let anyone tell you that accounting isn't hard and fast. There are many ways to crunch the numbers, and before making decisions, I always listen to the people who have to live with those decisions day in and day out. Rarely did I simply force a decision on them. So, yes, I could understand Emily's description of me. However, I was curious about the context. Was she saying I was a nice guy in a complimentary or derogatory way? So I did what a weakling would do. I stopped, hid, and listened. A bad move, and in hindsight, probably a mistake. With a hint of disapproval in her voice, Emily continued, "One thing you should know about and protect him from is his wife, Melinda, who is cheating on him with our CFO Horace Gregson. She usually calls her husband around 11, a few days a week, ostensibly to say hello, but really she's making sure he stays in the office while Horace comes over to their house. If I told him, it would break his heart. I can't do that to him because he's such a good guy." There was silence as my new assistant apparently took the news in shock. Emily obviously thought I was a weakling, a sweetheart, of course, but a weakling nonetheless. Did she really think I would break down and melt when I learned that my 33-year-old brown-eyed brunette was a cheating wife? Was she trying to protect our respected CFO? What the heck? I silently retreated and returned, coughing slightly, to announce my approach. "Ladies, does Emily let you in on all the gossip and intrigue around the palace?" They both laughed a little nervously, and Brandy said, "You seem to have a competent and dedicated staff, and since she's leaving, she didn't even need to gild the lilies. I'm looking forward to tomorrow to take the reins and work with the team." I smiled. "Our CPA firm hired a new IT specialist, and I have to go meet with him. I probably won't be back. So, see you tomorrow. No training. Emily, remember Friday at Bangers? Our department had a farewell party planned after hours. I didn't need to meet any new IT guy." A block from my office, I stopped at a shopping center and called Simon, my older brother and best buddy. "We need to talk. For example, now." He tried to add some humor. "Hey, buddy, you're not my wife. What can you be grateful for? How soon can you return home? This is urgent." Shit. "Okay, bro, I'm on my way. 2 years ago, his best friend got cheated on, and I wanted to get the contact information for the private investigator he hired to take down the bitch. This was my official reason. Unspoken was my need for a brotherly hug. After our parents died, he was my only family and the only person on the planet I could trust. I rang his doorbell, and his clearly concerned wife Sandy answered. After a short hoog, she said, "Come in. Simon is on his way. How are you? Let's wait until he arrives. Then I will only need to tell everything once. Is it that bad? Blue moon while we wait?" About 10 minutes later, we heard the garage door open, and Simon came out of the garage. After the necessary brotherly hugs, we moved into the living room. "I heard Melinda cheated with my boss less than an hour ago." In my bed. The only sound in the stunned silence was my sobbing. "Holy shit," Simon said. "I can't believe it." Sandy followed him. "Me too, Sandy," I added, shaking my head. "You are sure? With a sigh, I raised my hands, palms up. Until I see it with my own eyes, I can't be sure, but I overheard my assistant, who is pregnant and leaving, talking about this to her replacement. They didn't know I could hear, so they had no reason to joke about it. What are you gonna do? I don't know. Murder? Suicide? Murder, suicide? Any suggestions? Hey, bro, slow down the bus. There must be a better way to respond. What I learned from Derek's divorce is that there is no one at fault in our state. This means you can divorce Mel's ass without proof or reason. You just say that you want to get a divorce, divide your property, and move on with your life. So you don't need proof or anything like that. Just leave and move on with your life. In horror, I almost screamed, "What?" Simon, behave yourself. Ed is in pain. Do you love Melinda? Sandy handed me a box of tissues. Hell yes. If it weren't for that, I could easily kick her ass and move on. I thought we were doing well. It feels like my heart has been ripped out and gutted with a butcher's axe. All her subtle attacks over the past few months suddenly make sense. Her new hero has everything I need. He is younger, smarter, more attractive, richer, as far as I know. He has a position higher than mine. Why make do with subordinates when you can get the boss? Crap. Simon straightened up and looked businesslike. Okay, then you will have to confront her. But you can only do this if you have strong evidence. If you challenge her now, she will do the politician's dance. Deny, deny, deny. And humiliate you even more by saying that you are an insecure little sausage. All I could do was nod. I wasn't even angry yet. I was just stunned, devastated, and most importantly, hurt. This was the woman I would give my life for, and her gratitude for this was like this? Continuing, Simon asked, "Do you still have baby monitors?" "Yes, but they are somewhere in the basement, and it will take a year to find them." "Okay, Ed, it's time to go shopping. Sandy, do you want us to get pizza on the way back?" "Thank you, but I have spaghetti casserole ready. Good luck." Simon's experiences with his friend's divorce showed up in the places we shopped and the things we bought. When I got home, I left everything in the trunk and played dad as usual. The kids were yapping and chatting as usual, and we helped Mom clean the kitchen and run the dishwasher. I then took my time looking over the girls' homework, while Melinda retired to our bedroom. After the girls read their stories and fell asleep, I went to my home office and sat down at the computer. Melinda, who handled accounts receivable for the office supply company we used, had her own corner in the kitchen, although she never brought work home and used her phone for almost everything. I Googled divorce until my head started spinning. The more I read, the more my shock turned into anger. Melinda's selfishness hurt wildly. Around 10, when we usually go to bed, the bitch looked into my office. "Are you going to sleep? How did she do it?" Her voice was as loving and normal as it was every day. The smile on her face matched the loving look in her eyes. How long did she spread her legs in front of my boss? And why exactly in front of him? Okay, he had more money and other things, but he also had a family. 3 children. What did my Melinda see in him that made her endanger our lives and happiness? I just didn't understand it. "No, I have something I'm working on. I won't stay long, but I need to finish this." "Okay, good night." She blew me a kiss and left. When did it happen? In all these years, neither of us blew each other a kiss in our house. We always came up and kissed each other on the lips. I mentally slapped myself on the forehead. When was the last time I took her out to a nice dinner that wasn't for Valentine's Day, or something where it was expected? Slap, slap, slap. I took her for granted. Of course, she also took me for granted. But I had no control over what I could. I'll have to fix this. I wish we could stay together. Is it so? To determine this, I needed to know more. After an hour, I suspected she had fallen asleep, so I quietly crept into the kitchen, took her phone off the charging cradle, opened it, and looked through her contacts. Horace Gregson is gone, but I saw Hannah Gentry, whom I did not know, and my heart sank within me. She simply spoofed the woman using the same initials. Dozens of emails, many of them using our company's email server. I copied them all to my personal email. After installing the clone on my phone, I checked her text messages. The same. About 4 months ago, as far as I could tell in the limited time available. And again, I copied everything, which took a lot of time. Then I went back and deleted all traces of my actions. When I was done, I put her phone back, turned off the light, and went back to my office. The next day, I faked a cough and said I was sick. After everyone left, I started going through emails and text messages, which was slow going. Apparently, they hooked up at my company's last Christmas party. I noticed that the two of them communicated, but no more than spouses usually do in such cases. However, based on the emails, something clicked, especially with Melinda. Horace was what I would call a typical flirtatious man, but Melinda's responses were dangerously close to the edge of acceptability. She became a patron of the art museum of our city, and he, at her insistence too. I never paid any attention to Melinda's sudden interest in art, and frankly, I was grateful that she didn't involve me in it. She told me that she had been asked to volunteer on the finance committee, and since she had regular contact with many doctors, the barely stated idea was that she, as a woman, could encourage more of them to donate. However, from emails and text messages, I learned that she did not join any committees, with the exception of the Horace Dick Admiration Committee, which rotated between the Hilton, Marriott, and Westin hotels, apparently so as not to establish patterns, until they came up with the brilliant idea of saving money by desecrating our marriage bed. Crap. A treacherous, lying slut. But the trail included something more nefarious than setting up dates and taking nude photos. Horace, I learned, was skimming money from our company and using Melanie to do it. A light bulb went on in my head. Horace's flirtation and seduction of my wife had nothing to do with her sexual attractiveness. After he had lured her in with an endless stream of flattery and several dates on which he went out of his way to bring her countless pleasures, he floated the romantic idea of the two of them leaving their spouses and disappearing with a few stolen millions to live an idyllic life without any problems and worry only about what positions to add to your sexual repertoire. At first, Melinda treated the idea as a joke. He did not insist, but waited until her greed and narcissism did everything for him. He apparently set up a company in the Cayman Islands. Where else? With a bank account to match. Apparently, she began using fake invoices to bill our company, which he authorized for direct payment to a bank account in the Cayman Islands. Not only was I shocked by the sheer criminality of this, but what really angered me was that he was using my department, most likely to blame everything on my supposed incompetence if it came to light. Furious indignation in no way described my reaction. This bastard arranged for me to go to prison, and he stole my wife. Seeing his plan from afar, I doubted that he would take her with him. Honestly, Melinda is a wonderful woman, or should I say she was, but she could hardly be called stunning anymore. After 2 births and not very intense physical activity, she was left with a few unbearable kilograms. Her complexion was pale, and time was invincible in its campaign to colorize wrinkles. She no doubt knew this, which might explain the readiness with which she succumbed to his flattery. In that case, I wouldn't be at all surprised if Horace decided to leave the loser's wife, or maybe even kill her when he made off with the millions she helped him raise. I snorted. Not at my expense, you cheating asshole. What could I do? Who could I talk to? The only lawyer I knew was our company's corporate lawyer. Of course he should have been involved, but if I had simply walked up to him, the first thing he would have done was run to Horace, handing him a knife to kill and bury me, career-wise, if not literally. I called Simon again. Dude, the situation is getting more and more tense. I took the day off, and you should too. I'm not trying to be dramatic, but we need to talk about serious crimes, life and death. Meet me at the Horse and Trough. Now. Okay, but it would be better if this was something serious, and not just a session of crying. Taking a booth, I laid out a long and complicated plot. Whistling, he leaned back in his chair. I take back my comment about whininess. Apology accepted, I said. I need the name of a divorce lawyer, a shark and a corporate lawyer, a shark. The first one is easy. Brenda Hawkins makes every divorce lawyer tremble, but I have no idea about the second one. Okay, let's start with her, and maybe she knows someone who swims in the same waters. After several meetings with lawyers, Ms. Hawkins called the FBI's white-collar crime unit, which took the initiative. They had the means to track all the accounts and their numbers, but it didn't happen quickly. Luckily, they had strong evidence that I was supposed to be an innocent framed victim and not a criminal. It was a huge relief. One morning, our doorbell rang. Distracted in the morning rush, Melinda opened it. "Melinda Black?" "Yes, how can I help you? I am Special Agent Hubert Fairham, and you are under arrest for—" And he continued with an impressive list of heinous white-collar crimes and her Miranda rights. Luckily, she was dressed for work, so she didn't have to go to the police station in her pajamas. "Honey, this is a huge misunderstanding. Can you arrange a lawyer and bail for me?" Looking at her coldly, I simply said, "No, call your boyfriend Horace. He has more money." The hysteria bomb went off as she cursed, yelled, and screamed at me, accusing me of things I had never even heard of. The agent looked at me with a strange, puzzled expression, as if, "What kind of cannibal am I? Not to support my woman?" I simply shrugged and explained, "She's cheating on me with my boss, and the two of them are stealing money from our company, planning to pin it all on me while they flee the country with their stolen millions." Melinda immediately stopped her cat howling, shocked by the calmness with which I discovered their plot. What she doesn't know is that once all the money is secured and transferred elsewhere, he plans to kill her and keep all the money for himself. He has another girl in Costa Rica who is happy without money just with him. That last part I just made up and added to torment her. To say that Melinda was shocked would be an understatement, and she launched into another stream of protests and insults. I simply waved the agent and the arrested woman aside and closed the door. The FBI, local cops, and the company owner worked together to gather all the facts. They tapped the company's phones, so there was no problem convicting my boss and wife. She received 3 years, and he received 12. My wife and I divorced easily, as did Gregson's wife and his ass. It took me over a year to get over the loss of my love and being stabbed in the back. I helped Gregson's wife a lot, not sexually, but by talking. All 5 of our children got along well. We both appreciated having someone to talk to. However, nature being what it is, the conversations eventually led to more because I'm such a good guy. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.